What's up guys, it's Taken here with another commentary which I promised to make for you guys, and first of all thanks a lot for all the nice feedback and comments you guys gave me on my first commentary about the new assassin talent tree. So this video is going to be about the new Marksman Spec, but before I'm going to show you guys the new spec itself and some nice stuff, some few urgent things I really wanted to talk about with you. So if you're impatient, just skip this part, but hang on if you want to hear it. So my last video was about the Wheel of Fortune, which I think you will remember, if not just check it out. But the video itself was basically not that special, but when looking closer you may have noticed that I got, oh my god, a runes hack? What the fuck, infinite runes and so on, but however, this was just photoshopped as a fun thing, but what really disappointed me was just that some dumb kids who weren't obviously the smartest started to get rude and even insulted and so on. So they didn't even listen or anything. I mean, I don't care whether some guys like little gangster Eric Leo over here are going to report me, since I bet he doesn't even know how and where to do so. But anyways, it was just personally frustrated me how a lot of people behave towards that obviously Photoshop part of the video, which many people realized though. Alright, so that was it. Just wanted to make things clear for some guys who obviously didn't realize the joke beyond that Photoshop. And now let's get into the spec. There we go, this is my suggestion for the new Marksman spec, and as you can see, it's for max DPS in PvE, cause I left out several points on stuns and set 33 points on the Marksman spec. Anyways, archers aren't that hard to play like in previous talent trees, but still the spec got some nice changes which I really like. So the basic facts are that the archer won't be able to use poisons anymore unless you want to use the 2611 skill specs, which I don't recommend because it won't grant you that much of an advantage, whether in PvE or PvE, but I will talk about that later on. Well, furthermore, your sneak isn't available anymore, which is a huge restriction compared to former archer gameplay. Right, so in the first column just skill Soul Cheater plus 3 points on the 45% high escape chance, which I think is a must no matter whether Sin or Archer. This skill is just really useful. Okay, so Deadly Precision is increasing your critical chances, which is always good considering a 10% higher crit chance, but for PvP you gotta decide yourself whether you wanna set 5 or 5 points here. So I personally don't, cause your points are more useful on other skills. Okay, so Split Shot is exactly the same skill as the old skill, and also the skills for causing the explosion effect on your target, as well as the vigor regeneration through hitting targets stayed the same. I suggest you to fully spec these no matter for what, cause at first the explosion effect grants extra damage and may interrupt enemy castings, and furthermore the vigor regeneration in general is good because as an archer your vigor is scarce, so you need any vigor you can get. Okay, so when continuing in spec, here's the part where I'm missing one of the best skills for archers from previous specs in my opinion. Instead of Sharp Arrow, which increased the critical damage of an archer by 25%, which was amazing I think, there's now Vital Destruction. And anyways, this skill isn't that bad for PvP since the archer is missing his poison unless you spec different, but through Vital Destruction you can have a maximum chance of 30% to deal shadow damage to your enemy, and you will slow them down for 70% for 1 second. But really keep in mind that this is only working when the target is in the perfect range, and the perfect range is between 6 and 16 meters away from you. This range restriction is also the reason why I don't recommend using this in PvP as additional damage, cause in no dungeon except like maybe AGL, you should have to be close to the boss, and any other dungeon is based on max range towards the boss to escape any damage you will get. And this is why I think this skill is useless in that case. Okay, so Brutal Explosion is a basic archer skill too, and I think you should set maximum points on it because it's really useful no matter where you go. Deadly Dance or Pin Feed is still causing an armor break and slows the target by 100%, which is equal to the movement. The extension of it, Spreading Wings, is good too, but I recommend using these two skills in PvP only, because in PvE they don't make that much sense. So by this skill, so Spreading Wings, you have a maximum chance of 30% to break free from any stun, plus resetting the cooldown of your pin feed and escape skill. Oh nice, so they changed name of escape to Soul Cheater everywhere, but they obviously forgot here to replace it with Soul Cheater. But however, in PvP this is a must, and with this skill you can escape a lot of damage, and especially mages and DPS warriors will get freaking mad at you, because you can escape any damage after they stunned you. Trust me guys, you really need this for PvP. As you might have already seen guys, the new traps were introduced, and I really like the way you can use them and how they affect your gameplay as an archer. Basically you can just plant those traps somewhere on the ground where they will last for 15 seconds while being invisible for everybody, and even you won't see them yourself after you planted them. So you should remember where you planted them so you can use them. If any enemy target is stepping close to the trap, it gets activated and will deal intense DPS to the target, and the damage is 250% of your attack power, so it's just a high damage you will deal to a target. Furthermore, when setting 5 for 5 points on Deadly Deception, you will get an additional 2 traps which will last now for all your traps the time they will last on the ground is 35 seconds, so they will last longer, which I don't think is that useful, because I don't think you plant the traps and wait half a minute, but anyways. Okay, so the first additional trap you will get puts your target into a slow condition and deals DPS, and the other one is dealing DPS while freezing your target. Okay, continuing, so Death Destruction is the old Evolution shot I think, and stayed basically the same. When you guys wanna go PvP, just set maximum points on Hematophobia it is, and this will cause a silence condition on your target, which is good versus mages or the healer itself. Gorilla skill is another basic skill for archers, since it increases your overall damage dealt through skills, so just max it. Okay, so last and least is Snipe, or Non and Singular Vengeance. It's pretty obviously, so just set 1 point on it and use the skill. Alright, so some tricks with the new spec here, and first of all, you should generally, when going PvP, set 1 point on the Sentry for Deadly Dreams, cause you'll have another nice stun that you can instantly put on any target, and that's pretty useful. Okay, second, but from now on I don't suggest this tree generally for all of you guys, but if you have a good PvP partner that knows how you're playing, and if you practice a lot with the support specs, you may use this. You're gonna lose a lot of DPS and archer gameplay through this, but you will generally get an important role as support class for PvP, which is especially good when going to S with 2 DPSs. Okay, so set 1 point as mentioned on Deadly Dreams. Afterwards set 5 on 5 points on Ripper, which is basically to fill up your points to unlock the next column. Here you basically set Gruesome Garrote plus 3 of 3 points on Silence, so you can fully control any mana DPS or the healer himself. The next good thing about this spec is that the archer will get back his old Paralyzing Toxicity, which was really good for just controlling any enemy while slowing them down. Furthermore, by this you don't even get back your Paralyzing Toxicity, but you will be able to use the new skill Vital Destruction 2, which was actually meant to replace the poison. So when using this skill, you may not deal that much of DPS, but you will be able to cast a lot of stuns, and you will be a huge support for your DPS teammates. Okay, so generally the archer lost a lot of DPS through the missing Sharp Arrow skill, which I especially recognized in dungeons. The previous 2.8 specs and even before meant that the snipe damage from my archer went from around 19 to 21,000 damage due to 25 more crit damage, but now the maximum I got out of my archer was like 18 to 90k damage, which is a huge damage loss. But anyways, the archer got a lot of nice skills and a good way for 2611 spec for being the support in PvP, which in previous updates was pretty much for the Sin only while skilling pin feed. Okay, here are my 3 specs again. The first you saw is maximum DPS, which can be used in dungeons with long boss fights especially, and it's just the basic skills that I used. The next spec was generally PvP spec for archer while setting 36 point on marksman and 1 point on the assassin tree. And last one is the one for supporting your team with full stun spec of the archer, But really keep in mind that for this your teammates need to know what you're going to do, and even then, it's really hard and needs a lot of practice to succeed in PvP by this. Okay guys, so that was basically my new archer spec with even 3 different talent trees. Just choose any spec you like, but always keep in mind that the specs that I suggest are not those I use 100% of the time, since the spec always changes when changing the overall gameplay, teammates and so on. So just take these as some basics and change the points if you like, or use skills I don't use, because maybe they appear useful to you or to your gameplay. However, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just put any feedback, opinions, suggestions in the comments. So check out the upcoming videos about T4 trinkets and stuff. We're above the stats to the limit. I hope it's coming out during the weekend though. So thank you guys. I hope I see you in the next video. This is Taken here, and stay tuned.